Welcome to CEO Confidential. Pierangelo, good to see you. How are you?
Hi, Frank. It's a pleasure to be here with CEO Confidential. Who is with us today?
Today, we have a big shot. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. Before we meet our special guest, we're going to run just a few bits of information about him. 1 second. Tuomas, welcome to CEO Confidential. Good to see you. Question for you. Who are you? What do you do for a living?
Thank you. Nice to be here. Yes, so my background is I'm a tech entrepreneur. So I'm one of the founders of a company called Futurice 22 years ago. I have a technical background. I actually have a data science or artificial intelligence sort of training from the 90s, but then my roles took to sort of business side, sales. Then I was 10 years as a CEO, and now for the past years I've been working how do we renew knowledge work with data and AI? How do we renew consultancy work? And then on top of the kind of the day job, I have various board seats in publicly listed companies and private companies. That's me.
So let's double click on what you do, if I can ask. What is Futurice in detail? And if it's not confidential, what are you working on right now?
Yes. So Futurice is a digital engineering, digital innovation consultancy. So we are 850 people, Central Northern Europe. So originally from Finland, but currently big presence in Germany. Then we have Sweden, UK. And what we do, we work with big corporates like automotives, insurance companies, energy companies, and we help them to apply digital, but also more and more to be more data-driven, to be more AI-driven organization. So we both build solutions, digital solutions, data solutions, but we also help them to shape their business strategies. And I would say that one specialty that we do is that we are helping them to build the right kind of cultures, how to build an innovation culture, how to build a data culture. So that's who we are. And what I do is that I try to challenge the convention of how knowledge work is done, how consultancy is done when we put data into the core. Just to give an example of like, how do we know what we know? How do we make sure that we can actually tap into the knowledge of all the people that we have? Or how do we use data to understand our clients better so that we can be more proactive instead of reactive? Or how can we sort of be more people-centric? How can we help people to succeed on their careers when we put data and AI into the core of the operation? So that's what I do.
Yes, Tuomas, data economy, data management, data culture. I would like to make a step back and start from a definition. What is AI and why is it important for our future?
Yes. So of course we can start from technical definition of like AI is a trying to mimic like human intelligence, and then we have machine learning that is sort of ingesting a lot of data and looking for patterns, looking for sort of like insight that we can use to predict and analyze and so on. But I see that of course the technical side of it is really important, but I see that the role of data and AI is very much, it's challenging the convention, how we do things, how we sort of like run the organization, or how we create value for the clients. And if I give you an example, sort of like how I sort of also divide this is different kind of paradigms. We have the classic paradigm where organizations are built sort of top down. There's quite hierarchical and so on. Then maybe 10, 15 years ago, we started to have more and more innovation paradigms. So bottom up, a lot of experimentation, innovation, a lot of fail fast and so on. And now for the past years, it's been bringing the data paradigm there. For example, how do we do strategies? How do we sort of manage uncertainties when we have data? Instead of experimenting or planning, we try to look for data sources. And this is what we see that when we start challenging the convention, how we work or what is our strategy, we can actually start creating a lot of end user value, but also then corporate value. And that's the importance, how I see the data and AI and how it plays the role.
Yes, and beyond AI, which are the other exponential technologies that you are following at the moment, and which are the consequences of that?
Yeah, I would say that of course in this data and AI field, one area that I'm looking into is quantum computing. Of course, the maturity is still quite low, but of course that has an in the future that has potential for massive impact on because of the computing power, the ability to address even more challenging problems. Then maybe not my sort of like my field of expertise that much, but I'm very keen to understand the material science and how that changes also the kind of the biotechnology side, and those I think are gonna shape the world as well quite significantly. But in my area, I would say it's quantum computing in addition to the data and AI.
Tuomas, a question for you. Let's talk to the man on the street, the everyday person. How is AI solving concrete, tangible problems in their lives? Can you give us examples?
Yes, of course. And of course, we all know the kind of the very well-known examples, like we get recommendations for e-commerce, or we get more targeted advertising. That's of course already a significant, but I would like to sort of like look also slightly differently, and through sort of practical experience, I've been involved in working in construction industry. Sounds a bit far from the kind of the data and AI world, but when we start looking at how the construction industry is done, the system, how the whole system, how apartments are built, when we actually start using data and we start getting rid of the traditional constraints, we can actually change how it's done. So we can actually start moving from a bit chaotic project business paradigm into industrial assembly. And what does that mean for the people on the street? It actually means that you can get your apartment in half the time, or in the future, actually in fraction of the time of today's situation. Or even the situation that currently when somebody's building apartments, you can't customize them because the system doesn't allow. But when we put data into the core, we can actually allow people to customize their apartment. So before they are built, they actually can decide what kind of apartment that is on a multi-story apartment building. So those are the kind of the areas. Or that's just like another area, like even city life. Putting data and AI into the core of like figuring out where do we do the cleaning, where do we sort of like look for the safety topics, we can turn the environment much cleaner, we can turn the environment much safer. So I would say that in addition to this, that everybody sees the advertising, the e-commerce, I would say that in the future, we are already seeing the impact, but in the future, we will see the impact in just having a better life, easier life, sort of like much better. One thing that I definitely want to also emphasize is that what we are seeing is sustainability, circular economy. So if we want to be more sustainable, especially I would say circular economy is a critical one. When the kind of the value chains are becoming like more challenging, the only way to coordinate this kind of like network of organizations and companies is actually through data and AI. So even these are the kind of the consequences. Maybe the consumer doesn't see them, but the kind of the power behind that enables is in many cases, one of the key enablers is data and AI. Not the only one. It's not enough to handle only data and AI, but it's one of the key enablers. That's what I'm actually sort of like get excited on a daily basis in my line of work.
So it's clear, the potential is unlimited in our private and public life. However, if you look at the future, what are the main ethical questions that are linked to artificial intelligence?
I would say that there are, of course, plenty of those. The way I see it is that artificial intelligence is like any other really powerful tool. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And if we add other technologies like IoT or virtual reality and all those, and when we even the boundary between what is digital and what is not digital is getting more blurred. And then we get to the questions of like privacy. Think about like virtual reality and all the glasses that can sense what you're looking at, what is the kind of the even your sort of like if like at some point probably also how are you sweating and so on. So all your reactions, or all the IoT devices that we have in our homes or in our work. And of course, so there's plenty of like questions of like discrimination challenges, like codifying the human biases, their manipulation. We've seen that happening for the many years already, that we can use for manipulation. So I would say that like any other powerful technology, there are also a lot of questions, whether it's in a sort of like consumer space or in sort of like corporate arena or governmental area. And of course, it's not an easy topic.
Yes, there are many issues about technology. We have many issues about technology. Technology is changing at an ever-changing pace. And technology, as you said, has an unlimited power. We should be more conscious and more educated about what is technology and what are the consequences. How can we reach this consciousness at a general level?
That is actually I don't know whether I have the magic sort of like wand to make that happen, but if I just a little bit emphasize also the problem that I see on the business side is that the biggest challenge to getting results and adopting data and AI is typically not the technology. It's actually the disconnection between business people and the technical people. So technical people know the technology, they know the capabilities, but they don't understand maybe how to apply that in business or how to apply that to people. And the other way around, business people understand the business, but they don't understand the capability of technology. And at the same time, I have to say that if we look at like what has been the impact of bringing technology into many areas, the benefits has been somewhere rather marginal. And the big reason has been that there hasn't been any major change in how, for example, organizations operate or how we create. We just bring technology to the existing ways of working or existing ways of creating value. And there I see a major challenge. And it goes exactly to your question that how can we create the kind of the common understanding across everybody in the society, whether it's like government side, whether it's consumers, whether the business people. And I would say that maybe the one key skill should be having the dialogue skills, because we can't educate everybody to be a data scientist. I don't think that's the purpose, but I think that we need to find a way to have a common language to be able to have the dialogue. And that of course takes also time. And maybe the final challenge is that what I've seen is that typically if there's no dialogue, people feel that the other side doesn't understand. That typically means also the other side doesn't understand, and it also requires quite a lot of effort to have the conversation and try to understand the other side of the conversation. So not an easy topic, but really, really, really critical for the future of technology, whatever the technology is, whatever powerful technology we have.
Yes, and another critical issue I suppose is the geopolitical approach about technology. We have three different approaches from US, EU, and China. Which one do you feel is the more correct, and how should we manage this?
Yeah, and of course, yeah, there's various levels. I think regulation is one, and let's say I can't say that I'm the world expert on regulation, but I think that maybe how we consider in this business is typically we consider that maybe the Chinese regulation is the most relaxed one. I'm not sure whether that is a kind of the approach that we would like to take. Sometimes the European regulation is the most strict one, and sometimes maybe that is limiting. Maybe I would say that I don't think any of these regulation sort of areas is the best by itself. I think it's a question of like that maybe finding the kind of the right balance, and also I have to say that if we now look at like US regulation, there are certain areas, some state regulation that is coming closer and closer, also the EU regulation. And maybe one area that I would say that is a major challenge here is to keep up with all the regulation, because there's quite a lot of regulation coming. But maybe I would say that somewhere between European and US regulation that I feel is the most suitable.
Tuomas, you're a man of science and tech, so I have a philosophical question for you.
Yeah.
Is technology neutral?
I would say that technology is rather neutral, but the people applying technology are not always neutral. So I would actually put quite a lot of emphasis on the people and also what are the intention of people. Even if I just reflect sort of like from our own experience is that one thing that we always try to keep in mind is that how do we use technology to help people to succeed in their work? Because that is really critical for the adoption. If we only use technology to create better tools for management to control, I don't think anyone wants that technology. I think the question is people want tools that help them to succeed in this world. And maybe we need to be also self-critical towards the IT industry. If we think of most of the IT systems, are they built to help people to succeed? Or are they built to actually do something else. My favorite example is even CRM systems, like customer relationship management systems. Everybody says that they are not used that much, and then we think what they are built for. They are built to force people to follow process, and they are built to consolidate data to the management. And then we wonder why people don't want to use them that much. So I would say that I would emphasize a lot that what is the intention and the people behind. Do they have good intention? Are they trying to help people to succeed, or are they trying to do something else? So maybe a bit longish and a bit philosophical answer to your philosophical question.
Yes, I would like a more visionary question, because you are every day on the edge of the future. How do you see the future? Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
I think maybe my nature, but I'm optimistic. I do feel that we are, let's say, I'm optimistic, and at the same time I have a little bit of reality, so that we need to also address the kind of the downsides and the challenges and those kind of like manipulation topics and so on. But I do see that the way I look at like these kind of sustainability issues, the construction industry cases, the kind of the grocery retail, kind of like how we improve the assortments there to fit the people's needs. So I see a huge opportunity and potential to actually improve the world. And typically what is actually really nice, even if they take the retail example, it means that people have better assortment that is more fit to them. But at the same time, we reduce food waste. The same is in construction industry. We speed up building apartments. At the same time, we reduce a lot CO2 footprint, and we reduce waste a lot. So I see that there's a lot of like untapped potential in this whole area, and that's why I'm optimistic. But of course, we need to be also careful on many fronts.
So between realism and optimism, and with this hard stress on sustainability, I would like to thank Tuomas Syrjänen for being with us today. And with Frank Pagano, I would like to thank all those who have been with us, and see you next time on CEO Confidential. Thank you.
Thank you.